Greetings, sunshines and sunnies. It is I, Queen J Lotus Pimp Sunkiss, coming at y'all right quick, right fast, maybe, with a Royale review for LoveCraft Country, episode 4, A History of Violence. Now, honey, without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and jump straight into. We open this episode up with Montrose laid out on the couch, and I don't think he's actually listening to the news, but he could be. But this could also just be one of those moments where they use sound bites as overhead music in a similar way that they use music, as transition montages, background music, things of that nature, all that, child. So I think that that's what they're doing, but I also think that it could be thought of to be intertwined with him cycling through thoughts and memories of things that he's experienced and heard from his childhood throughout life, as well as some of the most recent events that they have been through with the Sons of Adam, the secret society, the magic, the sci-fi isms, and all that. But the overhead soundbite has to do with a comet of some sort, some like monumental, potentially dangerous astrological happening. And while he's cycling through memories, this is also a foreshadowing. So just keep that in mind. But as he's going through these tormented recollections of it all, he's muttering to himself, Whitey keeps cooking up death for the rest of us to eat. And I don't think he means this in simply a literal sense. I believe that he is also speaking on programming, such as a lot of the programming and things that are presented in different forms of media, like shows, movies, the news, music, all the things of that nature. And being the fact that, this is said back in the day, and he even mutters to himself, none of this is new, none of it's new. Why to keep cooking up death for the rest of us to eat? It's not new. And I also been noticing a lot more lately how, like, on television specifically, it's a whole lot more shows and movies and documentaries about dark ass shit. Even though, I go out of my way to find more lighter forms of entertainment and information and things of that nature, more balanced things. Howsoever, I notice what seems to be an agenda similar to what he is, speaking on. Because as it seems that I notice a lot more people, entertainers, and different forms of media, and just people in general, everyday people, seem to be trying to seek and also create and present more lighter and optimistic things to indulge in. It seems like there's a whole nother machine at hand that's working overtime to push out even much more negativity, dark subject matters. And there are a whole lot more, like I said, a whole lot more positive things happening in the world, especially now. But yet, a lot of the main news programs are often always talking about murders, deaths, killing, diseases, dangerous astrological happenings, dangerous political happenings. A lot of the music that is played on the radio and, that on streaming services and things of that nature that you don't just create for yourself, a lot of it pushes more dark music that talks about what? Death, murdering, killing, dark shit, drugs, suicide, all that type shit. Movies and shows, whole lot more documentaries coming out about a whole lot of different subject matters, death, murders, all of that, abuse. And don't get me wrong, things that are necessary to talk about, but when you keep cycling it like that and just pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and pushing it in people's face, I even see it on social media. If you're not careful, you will be darkly programmed. You know what I'm saying? If you don't understand how to use those little 3-dotted icons to hide stuff, block stuff, to, basically restructure your algorithm, you run a higher chance of being programmed with a whole lot of darkness, which essentially is what I feel like Montrose means, in a sense, by why they keep cooking up death for the rest of us to eat. Because if that stuff is constantly pushed in front of you, it becomes a habit for your mind to think like that and feel like that and function like that, and therefore create the reality that is nothing but darkness, death. Hence, one of the major themes and elements of this show is them showing how Montrose and George, them, even Hip and all of them, they've gone out of their way to present different forms of media to their kids so that they have a greater understanding and observation, different things to witness and indulge in, like adventure, sci-fi, greater endless possibilities outside of what the everyday life, especially the everyday racist dark ass life that is surrounding them, is presenting them with, so that they think bigger, they hope bigger, therefore they have a greater chance at striving for better and being able to accomplish better, because they're able to see that there's more to the world, there's more to life than just the darkness, the death, the fucked up shit, child. And we can unpack that further in a different video. But we're gonna go ahead and move forward throughout this one, because that can be a whole rabbit hole. Anywho, as he's, going through the motions, being tormented by his thoughts, we hear some history of violence. We hear childhood abuse going on in his memories, childhood abuse that he experienced and also that he may have inflicted on Tick. We hear some racist encounters, again, some recent encounters and events that they had with the monsters and the sons of Adam and all that. He then comes across this text from the book of bylaws that George gave to him before he died. And George told him, honey, to give it to Tick and use it with him, honey, to save them all. But this man, he reads it, he looks at this excerpt in the book that reads off, Adam named, Eve fucked, God brought forth monsters, monsters devoured, God smites Eve. Now, this is a brief and somewhat of an interpretation from the Bible. Something also that we can unpack further in another video. But this interpretation plays a large role in the oppression of women in society. This is also linked to a symbolism between Tick and Letty. Hence, Tick and Letty shared Letty's virginity in the previous episode. So a lot of what's happening, and we get even more clues in this particular episode with the things specifically that Montrose is reading and remembering and withholding, that a lot of these different clues and excerpts and booby traps and scavenger hunts and all of that, it is a symbolism of basically like a prophecy on Tick. And without saying too much, it reminds me of the Skeleton Key in a way, where the elderly white woman, who is actually at spirit a very, very, very elderly black woman, okay, that has possessed that white woman's body. And I am gonna finish the Skeleton Key review. I'm sorry. I'm gonna finish it, I promise. But yeah, very similar to how that elderly woman had it all lined up, planned, and set up, how she was gonna trap that girl into her spell, giving her everything that she needed to trap herself, to destroy herself. Okay, without saying too much. But as we go throughout the episode, we will see basically Montrose trying to stop this particular planned, spelled out prophecy that forefathers had for Tick. Okay, the history of violence. But when Montrose reads this out, it triggers him, okay? And he feels like he must suppress the information. Which is so wild, because you're trying to do different, right? But you're using the same methods as your enemies. Suppressing information, suppressing history, rewriting history, failing to realize that a lot of the same fucked up shit keeps happening because you are suppressing information. And if people actually had the truth, they would do things differently and therefore create different, right? Okay, but hold that thought. As he's burning the pages, honey, as he's burning the book, he mutters, smells like Tulsa. Now, baby, stick a pin in that too, because that's gonna come back up. Not in this episode, but in another episode. And I'm gonna save that conversation for that episode. Now, we didn't get the title card, and then we flash onto the, I guess you could call it the secondary opening scene, and there is, bitch better have my money. Boom, boom, boom. Bitch better have my money. Pay me what you owe me. Don't act like you forgot. I call her shots. Like blah, blah, blah. Hey, okay, yo, so that's playing in the background as Christina is riding clean through the mean streets on down to Letty's house, honey. And she gets on out the car. She struts on up to the door. Baby Letty done met her at the door. Like, be, or what you want? And just like the entitled, overly sheltered, no social skills having white woman that she is, she tries to walk on up in the house uninvited and gets halted by a force field that shuts her out. Again, something else that reminds me of the skeleton key. Except for in the skeleton key, they smudge the brick dust down on the threshold. And simply, if somebody has bad intentions for you and they on their shit, they on their, wizardry shit, they just gonna look at it and be like, oh, I can't cross on over there, no. Okay? But here, there's an actual force field that knocks her butt on back. All right? Now, let her ask her baby what you want. But by how Christina notices that it's a force field keeping her out, and she notices the goat blood X on the doorway, she asks her, so who helped you evict Hiram? Letty's about to ask her how she know anything about all of that, but then she remembers who she's talking to, essentially. And she also ends up putting it together. Oh, okay, this house. You the one that put up the money. You the one responsible for the acquiring of this house. So you must want something that's in it. Something that has to do with Tick. Christina gonna tell her, honey, don't let the men fool you into thinking that everything is about them. Ooh, glory. A word. A word. Now, this is a double-edged sword. Because she right. Don't let the men fool you into thinking that everything's about them. Because it certainly is not. And if you censor them, like talking about, you're going to miss out on a lot of things. So you must understand that things be a whole lot bigger than any one species, any one person. Okay? Now, she goes on to say, Tick's blood might have power in it, but it's only because Titus spelled it that way. It doesn't make him special. Again, a double-edged sword. Because Christina definitely has bigger goals for everything that she's putting together. And it really ain't even personal. You know what I'm saying? Nothing personal that she has towards Tick or any of them trying to attack them or no shit. Howsoever, it does make Tick special. And a part of her undermining that is from her own insecurities and her own haterade. Because no matter what blood she got, it don't override the pussy that she got either. Which is the main reason why she can't get in. You keep on knocking, but you can't get in. You keep on knocking, but you can't get in. Okay, and I probably brought this up in previous reviews, but this is also another implication if you've ever read the book or know anything about the book Brainwashed by Tom Burrell. He talks about certain levels and implementations of this hierarchy of society. And, it's likely not even something that you have to particularly read that book for, but that's the book that I have as a reference. But in there, he speaks on the commonality and the linkage of white women and black men and the hierarchy of society and how they are essentially juggled in very similar places in the hierarchy. And when they have any type of interactions or relationships with each other, whether it's friend or romantic, whatever, what have you, any type of interaction, even if it's just passing each other by type shit, there is this interesting phenomena, if you will, whereas they are able to both oppress each other and uplift each other, like give each other an advantage, okay? Because white women have power through their whiteness, but they are also oppressed by way of their vaginas because they are women. Black men have power through their penises because they are men, but they are also able to oppress white women because they are women, and black men are still men. So you see how that juggling and that cycle goes. So in certain areas, white women can either uplift or destroy a black man. And in certain areas, a black man can either uplift or destroy a white woman. It's very tricky. Very much so a seesaw type of interaction. And that's just a short and sweet, to the point explanation. If you want to get deeper into it, the book that I referenced is Brainwashed by Tom Burrell, where he speaks on it in depth. Again, it's something that you may likely be able to find information on in other instances as well. That's just a reference that I gave. And I say all of that to say that we see much of that play out between Tick and Christina, specifically and including in the way that she basically projected her own insecurity into undermining the advantage that he has with the secret society. Because due to the fact that they do not allow women of any sort into the order, there is only certain information and certain elements and trinkets and things of that nature that she is able to get through Tick. Okay? So because even though he's a black man, he's black, but he still is a man, and he has that blood. So in that particular element, he is able to either uplift or destroy her. But once they are back in regular everyday society, as we saw earlier this morning, because all this is in the same day from where we left off in the previous episode, where Tick went over to the realtor office and tried to kill her, and she had to remind him, we in regular society now, honey. I have the advantage here. And she told him, you know, you can't just be trying to kill white women in broad daylight as a black man out here. Okay? You see that? You see how they work? Yeah, so you might have had the advantage over there, but I got the advantage over here. Act like you know. Okay? And she basically puts that bug in Letty's ear in this moment as well, when she tells her, you know, and if he keeps making hasty acts like he's doing, he gonna fuck around and get you killed again. Okay? Hasty acts referring to him trying to kill her earlier that morning. And she tells Letty, you know what I'm saying, I don't want no harm to come to you, and I don't want this house. I just want Hiram's Ori. And Letty's like, the fuck is an Ori? And she tells her that it is a model of the solar system, and Hiram's ghost kept it locked away somewhere in the house. And she would like to come in and look for it. And Letty tells her, bitch, you might have paid for this house, but my name is on the deed. Now you're not getting inside of me or this house. You's a little puppet, so just get to stepping. And she struts on around and slams the door in her face. So then we cut on over to Hippolyta, who is red-handed, honey, having stole the Ori. She has the Ori. And we pretty much knew that from the last episode where she stumbled upon it at the party that was going on at Letty's house. But y'all, it's just wild to me that she just straight up stole it. I ain't telling nobody nothing. Just wiped it, honey. Goodness gracious. But she over there. And she is at the headquarters. I don't really know. It's like their office. I don't know if, like, what you call this. If you call it a form of a library or whatever, what have you. But it's where they did the travel guide stuff, all of the travel guide stuff. And, you know, it's a whole lot of information, a whole lot of other different things that be going on up in there. I don't know what you call it. But she's over there at the headquarters. And she's on the phone. And she's talking to her daddy about the Ori. And she asks him what type of world, what galaxy or whatever would be able to sustain 2 suns. And he says to her, the Virgo cluster. And we'll unpack these symbolisms and Easter egg droplets and things of that nature in different videos, because they deserve special attention. Otherwise, these reviews will be 5 to 6, 12 hours long, child. But yeah, he mentions to her the Virgo cluster, and that any galaxy within 200 billion light years is confined to a giant supercluster disk, which, by my simple interpretation of what he's telling her, is that it has to be a galaxy that is within a super galaxy. So a super galaxy being a galaxy that consists of many other galaxies. Therefore, you know, that is what the Virgo cluster is described to be. Therefore, in order to sustain 2 suns, it must be a super cluster galaxy that is constructed by a plethora of galaxies. Therefore, it would have more than 1 sun. And Hip says that could explain why it looks as though they're eclipsing each other. And looking at the Ori, I see why she's saying that it looks like they're eclipsing each other, but to me it doesn't really look like an eclipse. Like, I know why she's using the term eclipse, but it doesn't look like an eclipse to me. Or maybe I don't have a keen understanding of what an eclipse is, but it doesn't look exactly like an eclipse. And me and Hip may actually be on the same page, because I had to listen again. As she goes on to speak, I realized that she may be saying, and what, you know, her father may be implementing, is that the galaxies could be eclipsing, making it appear as though it is one galaxy with 2 suns. And what Hippolyta says is, what if they're not eclipsing? What if it really is one galaxy with 2 suns? And that is what it looks like. That's what it looks like, essentially, to me. And there are some other little small nodules on it that could make it look like it's a cluster of galaxies. But in the specific area that she's speaking on, it looks like one galaxy. Okay, so like the whole Ori, the whole Ori itself could be a cluster of galaxies. But in the specific area that she's speaking on, it looks more like one galaxy in that specific area that has 2 suns. And when she asks that question, he responds to her, well, that sounds like that new comic that Diana has been working on, aka Out of This Universe. And baby, that's a lot of what my channel is about. Conjunction, if you will, between art and magic, quote unquote. You know, a lot of people tend to think that predictive programming through artworks is like hella mindful. And if and when people are aware of how you can manifest and or receive visions through your creative space, then predictive programming can be mindful. But a lot of the times it's not. A lot of the times artists are just being artists and they channel mindlessly and heartfully through their creative space. And then it just so happens that what they created is filled with not only premonitions, but also past life visions, otherworldly visions, things of that nature. And I'm sure many of you thought of The Simpsons when I said predictive programming. And or when rappers make music videos and the lots of rappers who have made music videos showing scenery of their own funerals, and then later on they pass away, or soon after they pass away. A lot of the times that's not intentional. A lot of the times that's not intentional, and sometimes it's not with the intent to predict anything. Sometimes it's not a prediction. Sometimes the artist has mindlessly manifested some shit into fruition, not realizing their own strength. And that can also happen by way of acting, how certain actors and actresses, they don't go into roles trying to manifest into their reality what has gone on with the characters that they're playing. But it ends up happening because they aren't aware of the spiritual element of what they're doing. They're not aware of their own strength. For example, the actor that played the guy that killed Ricky in Boys in the Hood, he also played one of the guys that killed Q-Tip in Poetic Justice. He played in a couple of other hood gangster gangbanger movies where it involves him killing people. And he was so into his craft, not realizing the entirety of what he was doing, and ended up manifesting those things into his actual real life, and ended up going to prison for homicide and ended up being killed in prison. Okay, so yeah, all that to say, in this show, and specifically as it was, kind of brought up by Hippolyta's father, Diana is a representation of an artist that has the spiritual ability of quote unquote predictive programming, receiving visions of past life things, future things, manifesting things, all of that through her artwork. And she's not even realizing that she's doing it. Is it? And again, that word comes up, programming. They're not saying the word programming, but that's what it is. That's what's being implied. That's, what I described about what Montrose was saying at the beginning when he made the comment about Whitey always cooking up death for others to eat through the programming of media and the programming of what's presented and pushed through the algorithm of life and the algorithm of media. Okay, easy. Manifestive programming is what Montrose was speaking on. A part of what Montrose was speaking on at the very beginning that I described. And predictive programming is more so what Diana has going on mindlessly. And again, that's a lot of what I bring together and talk about and things of that nature. That's one of my goals and themes on this channel. Bringing awareness to the way art and spirituality, magic, if you will, conjuncts and works hand in hand. And it's not something that even artists are often aware of. But you don't have to be aware of it in order for it to work together, because that's just what it is and how it is. And again, we can unpack that deeper into another video, and inevitably it will be unpacked over and over and over and over again amongst different videos, especially these reviews for LoveCraft Country, because it's also a theme in LoveCraft Country as it is a theme on my channel. And so yeah, he says to Hippolyta that that sounds like the comic that Diana has been working on, aka Out of This Universe. And when he says that, Diana yells out that she's about to go to Bobo's house, you know, her little friend. She's about to go to his house with him so that they can read and indulge in comics. And he yells out to Bobo to make sure to tell his mama to call her. Okay, you know, looking out for the kiddos, making sure they at where they supposed to be at. Her daddy's on the phone like, oh, is that my granddaughter? Or is that in the third? You know, he's doing his granddaddy thing. And she tells him to hold on because one of her colleagues step over and he like, hey, what this is you over here playing with? What this is you over here, you know what I'm saying, tampering and tinkering with? What is it? What is it giving? And she tells him it's a mechanical model of a solar system. And it's meant to move and predict the relative positions of planets. Move and predict the relative positions of planets. So again, creativity, artworks, it's not always intentional. It's often not intentional predicting. Though, when people are aware of what they are doing, it can be intentional. Whereas, this is Hiram's Ori. This is his mechanical model. Now, given, you know, what we know about history with certain racist white people who were creators, if you will, we know that a lot of them stole credit for things, okay? So it could be inferred that he could have, you know, stolen this. He could have stole credit for this Ori. It may not be something that he built on his own. Could be something that a black person built. One of his servants, or, you know, somebody that worked for him, whatever, what have you. Somebody he kidnapped and forced to do whatever, okay? And he took credit for it. The point is, whoever created it and Hiram, they knew what they were doing. Therefore, there is intensive predictive programming within this creation. Okay? Now, Hippolyta goes on to say that, you know, that's what it's supposed to do. But it's broken and she can't find its operatives, which are the gears. She can't find the gears. Now, I'm wondering, is it broke or is it just rigged in a way where it's like you got to have a code type shit? You got to understand the construct in order to find the button. You know what I'm saying? And it'll make more sense as we get through the episode, what I mean by that. But yeah. But the guy tells her that one thing he knows about locked things is that there's always a key. And that she'll find it. And we know she'll find it because that's what she do. Okay? She is Hippolyta, baby. Boom. She be finding shit. Just like she found that. And see, mind you, she said it's broken. He said locked. So that's another reason why I'm like, is it broken or is it just locked? Now the next scene is Letty strolling up into the colored folks library. Yeah, that's what it says on the outside, okay? So basically it's the black people's library. And Tick is in there. Now I wonder how she knew that. But anywho, Tick is in there. And she goes on in there, baby, strutting with a vengeance. Straighten with a vengeance, like a mama that's been called over to the school to snatch up her kid, honey, and set them straight. And that's exactly the energy that she is giving. Now, this ain't her kid, but she's strolling on up in there to snatch somebody up and set them straight. That's her intention. But she get on up in there, she confronts Tick, and she said, honey, you been trying to kill white women in broad daylight. What is wrong with you? Referring to him trying to kill Christina. Letting him know that Christina popped up and spilled the tea. Now, Tick, first of all, it's this little boy sitting over across from Tick. And they like trying to whisper, but they still talking loud. And honey, they are disturbing him. And he is letting it be known that he does not appreciate it. And he wants them to shh. Shh. Okay? But Cherry Shy, she tells him, honey, how the fuck I'm supposed to keep it down when I got some white sorceress bitch showing up to my house talking about you trying to kill her, and come to find out she purchased a house you knew and didn't even tell me about it. Like, what the fuck? What? We supposed to be in this together and you withhold the information. You're not working like a team player, my dude, my guy. What is it giving? So he said, I didn't want to tell you because I was scared to scare you. Nigga, what? Why is you acting like Letty is just some little Tweety bird that just flooded out of a tree one day and landed on your shoulder? That is not what's going on. First of all, Letty is an activist, okay? This ain't her first day at the picnic type shit. And she done already been through the thickest in the woods. She done died and everything beside you. What the hell? Who you think you're talking to? Who you think you're dealing with? You can't think you were scared to scare her. Seem like more so you got some fears of your own that you projected. But yeah, so she asked him, so what happened, huh? How happened you weren't able to kill her? How happened she was able to show up to my door despite the fact that you was over there ready to get it going and knock her up off the face of this earth? He said, she can't be killed. She can't be killed. It's an invulnerability spell that her daddy cooked up, honey. So no matter how hard I tried, had the gun to her head and everything, it just couldn't happen. It just couldn't do it. It just wouldn't let it happen. Okay? And she like, well, hold on, player. So do that mean that her daddy is still alive? Like, huh? And the rest of the sons of Adam, he said no. Because he had to remove the invulnerability spell up off of himself in order to do the spell that he was trying to do when the whole damn tower collapsed and everything. That's from episode 2. And Tick feels like she played a part in orchestrating it so that she would be able to get her daddy out the way. Knowing that when he removes that invulnerability spell and he tried to do the other spell, that it was going to kill him because Tick blood and all of that is so very powerful. So you see how she tried to undermine it? But then she also knew that it was just that powerful that it was going to be able to kill her daddy in the process of him trying to cast the other spell. Like, that's why I said what I said when she was in the doorway talking to Letty trying to downplay his position. But honey, he says that and Letty sighs and basically looks to the side. And then she looked back over to the side, you know what I'm saying? She do a double take or whatever because she notices that he got bags. Shorty got the bags over at the table. And so she like, wait a minute, honey, you was about to leave. You was going off her and then leave, headed back to Florida. He said, hold on, pump your brakes. I ain't going nowhere till I know that everything is safe. Honey, that ain't what she said. Your initial plan was to kill Shawty. And you was going to basically, assume that with her out the way that everything was going to be safe and that you was going to head out. Not only, you know what I'm saying, because, you felt like it was safe, but also to protect yourself. Because you weren't going to be able to stay there after killing a white woman in broad daylight. What is wrong with you? Okay? But maybe he thought the magic or whatever was going to protect him. But I don't know. Anywho. And so with that, Letty struts on back over to the table and she's looking over all the books and whatnot that he got laid up across the table. And she said, okay, so what is all of this? What this got to do with her? I know it got something to do with her. Go ahead and give me the info. So he talks about Lost Book of Names and how Christina told him that it's 2 different sets that still exist. But Titus got his hidden somewhere in a booby trap vault that only he can access. And Tick's blood might also be an accessor of said vault. But also, the Ori can help them find the pages as well. Okay? So, he wants to find it, learn the language of Adam, and cast spells of his own. Some to protect them and things. So, he wants to go back to Artem. And Letty is like, so what? They taught you paleontology, all of that in the army? They taught you how you was going to do this? Like, what you do? Basically, telling him, like, you don't know what the hell you doing, boy. You just going to go back and just be doing stuff. Okay? You need more information, more tools and things before you just go to, boot scooting and boogieing and doing whatever it is that you think you got a plan that you're going to be doing. Okay? And basically, she tells him that he needs to talk to his daddy. And he go getting rude. I don't want you involved. And I don't want him involved either. Both of you need to stay out of it. And I'm like, how the fuck you going to tell him to stay out of it, honey? They is already a part of it. The whole way that you got involved in it in the first place is because your daddy was kidnapped and carrying on, wrote you a letter. So, baby, he was already a part of it. You wouldn't be a part of it if it wasn't for him. Okay? You wouldn't be a part of it if it wasn't from the long lineage of everything that is going on. So what are you talking about? Okay? Shut up. Anywho, she stormed off like she do. But we pick back up with Letty, with Montrose, at this sports bar at night. And Tick is walking up in there. The bartender tells him that they in the back. He strolls up on them. And they look at him. And he looks at them. And they look at him. And he looks at them. And they look at him. And he looks at them. I be getting musical Tourette's. But that's extra funny because Montrose, Michael K. Williams, that is, rest in peace to your boy. But he was in the Trapped in the Closet series. He was in there. He played the cop that gave old boy the ticket. And then he was married to Bridget, who was messing with the midget. Little person, okay? I ain't using that term to be derogatory. I'm using it because that's the term that he used in the song to rhyme with Bridget, okay? Stay with me. Sorry. Okay, now back to the subject at hand. And Montrose don't waste no time, honey. He starts right on in at Tick, fussing at him, telling him he hard-headed, saying he don't know where he went wrong with him because every time he tell him to do one thing, he do the exact opposite. Montrose don't want him involved, okay? Undermines his sanity, undermines his intelligence in the situation, which he ain't completely wrong, but he's coming to you for information. So you defeating the purpose by just, talking down to him about what he don't know. He done asked you. So, I mean, you know what I'm saying? But that's, a part of the history of violence. Even though it's not physical violence, it's a form of violence. It's a form of abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse. Whereas a lot of black parents end up doing that because it's learned behavior. Remember, I brought up at the beginning the suppression of history and the suppression of information, thinking that you are being protective when in actuality you're doing the exact opposite. And also, that's what slave masters and racist white people would do to black people whenever they seeked information, especially if they felt like they had a great chance of coming upon the information and doing some good things with it. They'd undermine their sanity and undermine their capability and their intelligence, which is a form of gaslighting. And it's to keep you from trying. It's to keep you from seeking. Keep you from trying to progress. Okay? So, in this case, though, I do think it's habitual from Montrose. Like I said, learned behavior. And I do think that he calls himself being protective. But he don't understand that what he's trying to protect him from, he's facilitating by not giving him the information that he has. Okay. He's facilitating in what he's trying to protect him from by withholding info. Now, in the midst of him ranting, and he like, what, you gonna run your chest first into a war with these folks? We already got a couple of lodges against us. You want to go up against all 34? Now, he done let it slip, okay? He done let it slip some of the things that he know. Tisk. Because he up here trying to act like he don't know Nathaniel. But he done let it slip. But he tells Tick that he ain't gonna help him kill himself. And he also mentions, have you seen the news? We are on the lesser side of the battle, okay? Now, I only brought that up because, remember, news, media, programming, okay? Learned behavior, programmed functionality, okay? So, in the midst of him doing all this ranting and raving, Tick has had enough. He say, fuck the bullshit. And he gets up and he storms off. Now, Letty turns on over to him and it's like, so you really gonna sit up and let him chase his tail looking for information that you already have? And Montrose is being a butt. He won't let up. He won't budge. And she say, well, honey, I see where he gets it, honestly, because you a real asshole. And she gets up and she gonna do her little storm off as she do. But he stops her in the middle of it. He said, you got family in Boston? I might know a way that we can get to the vault. Nigga, why didn't you say so? We then are taken to a scene where Christina is out in town playing with some kids very awkwardly. They playing hide and seek. She done hid. And the little boy come to find her. She jump out. She trying to get him. So she clearly don't understand how the game supposed to work. Clearly, she ain't never played with no kids like talking about. Because he asking her like, what are you doing? You looking a fool. You never played hide and seek before? She say, no, this is my first time. And she do look silly as hell. Like, silly and awkward as fuck. But it kind of makes you, in a way, it makes you feel a little bad for her. Because it's like, clearly, she hasn't been able to really have a good quality of life, like somehow. And it makes sense why she's strived for immortality and striving for the multitude of other things that she's striving for, because she's trying to take what she's been deprived of. So yeah, in the midst of her playing with these kids very awkwardly, 2 cops walk up and basically confiscate her, if you will. She walks with them willingly. Of course, they put her in the back of the car. They don't handcuff her or nothing. But they take her on off to another headquarters. Now, I can't tell if this is a police station or some type of like police station that doubles as a bar that doubles as a police headquarters or what. But she basically is taken over here so that she can meet with Officer Lancaster. And if I'm remembering correctly, that's the old boy that had done snatched Letty up, had her in when Letty smashed up all the white boys' cars that was harassing them and everything, and she was in the cop van with him, had him throwing her around all back there and everything. He was being weird and asking about the house and Hiram. He didn't say his name, but he was low-key high-key asking about the peculiar things going on in the house and all that, because he is concerned because he got some dealings going on surrounding it all. So yeah, we meeting with him again by way of Christina, and she walk up in there with him, and he's talking about, You walking around up in my town unannounced and all carrying on. So shut up. Just annoying. Just annoying. So, in this scene, we get to see another element of Christina's oppression by way of men folk, white men folk in particular, this white man here being all weird and nasty and rude and carrying on, just extra, giving little dick energy. Anywho, yeah, he asked her, what you doing in my city island and da. So she tell him that she showed up, she went by the Winthrop house to, basically commiserate with the ghost of Hiram and to convince him to let her get the orrery, okay? Because she trying to use it to access the time machine. I wish I had a time machine. I wish I had me. And then she says to him, okay, kind of throwing it back a little bit, shading him on some shit. She says to him, I was surprised to hear that Negroes had moved in. And she knew she wasn't surprised because she played a major hand in it. Anywho, talking about she was surprised that he let that happen in his city and all that. So that done hit him in his gut a little bit. So he gonna say, oh, you show her up here with not only the audacity to be trying to get my lodge's property, but you also gonna say it to my face like, what's good? And she say, oh, did I miss your crossing into the order? Ooh, he real feisty now, huh? He real feisty. Because he jump up talking about, well, I know I didn't miss yours. No vaginas allowed. Okay? Trying to put his little dick energy on the table because he know, even though he might not be officially crossed in, he just over on adjacency and everything. He feel like at least he would have a piece of a chance because of his little dick. And she wouldn't have no chance because she's a woman and all this and that and the third. But Christina got other tricks in her bag. And that's what that scene basically ends with. Him downplaying her capabilities to get the orrery, access the time machine, acquire the pages and all that. He basically trying to tell her, bitch, you ain't shit. You ain't never been shit. You ain't gonna ever be shit. Period. This man, I really don't like him. Oh, but his time is coming. I also want to note before we wrap up this scene that you can hear groaning and howling from somebody clearly in pain and agony in the background. We pick up with the crew, okay, and they are loading up, Big Woody that is, with Hippolyta and them to go to the museum to locate Titus's vault. Now, as they are loading up, Tick and Letty, I had to make sure I had the names right, because I be tripping sometimes. Tick and Letty are passive-aggressively having a little non-verbal spat. Aggressively stuffing bags and boxes and stuff into the trunk, handling the trunk door all aggressively and things, bumping into each other, looking at each other all ugly and carrying on. And then they start like tugging and pulling over this bag. Because Tick called himself, you know what I'm saying, kind of trying to help her, but also being passive aggressive about it. And she like, nigga, leave me alone, back the fuck up, let it go. So he decides to be petty and let it go as she's pulling, knowing that it's going, you know what I'm saying, yank her back, throw her off balance. She look at him crazy like, bitch. And he like, well, you told me to let it go. Unlike you, I listen. She like, if I had to listen to you, then we wouldn't have no input, no insight on how to get to the museum where the vault could supposedly be. Okay? Because you don't want nobody involved. You don't want to ask nobody no questions. You just want to act like you know everything, knowing the goddamn well that you don't know everything. Okay? You only got little pieces of this and that, and you just want to act like you don't know what doing stuff. Okay? It ain't his fault. And then D comes through and she chunks a bag at Tick. Serves him right because it threw him out balance the way that she threw it. The clown always comes back to bite. But anywho, D and Hippolyta are also going, because Hippolyta yells out to D that she's going to love the astronomy exhibit, okay? That she ain't gonna ever been to seen one like it. So then Tick gets frustrated. He muttering under his breath, you invited them to this ain't no goddamn family road trip. Did you also tell them we're going to find a vault and do all of this Back to the Future ass shit? Baby, calm down. My gosh. So Montrose is like, baby, I had to tell her where we was going. This is her car. You want the ride or not? Like, okay, honey, you gonna have to pick a struggle. And calm down. Take a chill pill. Drink some ashwagandha tea or something, honey. Because you're going to blow a gasket. And Letty is like, woo, child. I'm finna have to ride in the car with y'all for the next 15 hours. And y'all like this here. No ma'am, no ham, no turkey, no jam. And she aggressively shoves the next bag in the back of the trunk and slams the door. And Hippolyta is peeping game. She said, is everything all right now back there, y'all? Is everything okay? And they're like, yeah, everything's fine. Everything's copacetic. Cool as a cucumber. But y'all know Hip is smarter than that. She ain't buying it, but she just eating it for now. She know that it's way much more than what meets the eye. And I also feel like she is going to go too because she's trying to figure out about this orrery. So they all giddy on up in the car, pulling out And before they can even get out good, baby Tree is walking up, got a bag, and standing all out in front of the car, about to get hit. And Tick yells out, boy, what is you doing? What the hell wrong with you? No, seriously, what is wrong with you? How the hell you just gonna stroll up and invite yourself on these folks' trip? How you know they even had in the room with your big self? Anywho. He talking about he got a Philly in Philly. Now I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. He got a lady in Philly. He trying to see whatever, what have you. He wants to go, and he don't want to have to put no gas in his car and do whatever work it needs to be done on his stuff. So he just gonna hop in the car with them. 30, you need some attention. Where's your folks? Okay, where your people at? But Hippolyta said, baby, Uncle George always said the big old Woody could carry the whole corner of Southside Chicago or whatever, what have you, something like that. You could fit a whole 4-5 generations in the car, okay? So she let the boy go. He get in the car, and baby, Hip playing it off real good, but you could tell she agitated too. Don't want to deal with this boy. Don't nobody want to deal with this boy. He like Roger on Sister. But probably worse, because he's a grown ass man and he just be doing 15-year-old boy ass shit. Like, oh my gosh. Don't make no sense. And let me find out he trying to put the smooths on Hip or something. Because you know the boy is fresh. Anyway. And honey, he ain't even got no car. I misunderstood. He want to save himself the bus fare. I still feel like he had an ulterior motive. But okay. So then, we get a quick little cute little scene with Ruby over to Nordstrom's. I think it's Nordstrom's. I think. But you know, it's that posh, fancy, upscale department store that Ruby keep talking about applying to. And I believe she showed up here to go ahead and try to apply. She look good. I don't really like the color what she got on, but I understand why she got on that color, you know, because it's professionalism. She there to, you know what I'm saying, make herself look professional, upscale, high quality without appearing too boastful and flashy and peacocky, you know? It'd be like that. Neutral colors and tangs. But she look good. Skin popping. But honey, she struts on in, confident, looking around to the tune of. I had to grind and hustle, had to work like Kobe just to shine like Russell. They said, glad you made it happen overnight. They said, damn, you changed. I'm like, show you right. I got money. Yes, that's my shit. And see, that's also another reason why I like the implication of playing more modern songs, despite the fact that this is set in the 1950s. I like the mixture of it because, I mean, a part of the whole point is to show that a lot of these things that's going on here where it's set in the 1950s are still relevant. Anywho, so she's dressing confidently and the song gives that, you know what I'm saying, she feeling like money. She's exuding money. But then she's brought down a little bit when she looks across the way and she sees a dark-skinned black girl working in there. Little cute patoot. Okay. And she walks up to get a good look at her, but then she quickly turns away and acts as if she's browsing through the clothes. And the girl peeps her out and walks over. She's like, hey, excuse me, ma'am, are you good? Do you need some help? And she said, no, I'm just browsing. So it's okay, well, let me know if you need anything. And before she walks away, Ruby looks up and she says, so did you just start working here? And the girl turns around, well, yes. Yesterday, to be exact. You know, I didn't think I was going to get hired, but I just applied on the whim. And Ruby says, oh, okay. That's great. I didn't realize they were hiring colored girls. She said, yeah. Yeah, I know. Thanks. It's really amazing. So grateful. Have a nice day. And so that's a real quick little cute little interaction they had there. And I will unpack more of this when we get to the scene where Ruby really expresses herself about it. Now we get to the museum and everybody is quickly commiserating about what they there for. Diana has already spotted the exhibit that she wants to go see. And Hippolyta yells out, all right, everybody meet back here in 2 hours. Now, Tick and Letty going through the brochure, trying to see what they can find, you know what I'm saying, where they can get to Titus's part of the exhibit. And Montrose comes up and it's like, okay, security guard over there, he waiting for me. That's the dude that's, you know what I'm saying, gonna be making sure everything is everything. He goes off with him. I'm wondering if Montrose did something strange for a piece of information, or is this just some gay buddy type shit? Now, there's interesting body language and implications and the way it's shot and all that going on here anyway. But then it's gonna be another conversation that comes up that like kind of alludes to a little something more going on all at the same time. Okay, but Montrose goes off at him, and they go off somewhere to do their own thing, and goddamn, while Tick and Letty are getting their stuff together, about to go, you know what I'm saying, search through the exhibit and scope everything out. Goddamn Tree walks up behind him, talking about dinosaurs. You think they got dinosaurs up here? Think we can go see the dinosaurs? We got 2 hours. We might see the dinosaurs. You 6-year-old child, you, please. You too damn big for this. Anywho, and then, like, you need them to go see the dinosaurs? You ain't even supposed to be here. Go show yourself the dinosaurs. Tree might need a check. Anywho, they can't really be bothered with him. They just kind of like walking, like doing as they may. And Tick like walks smooth off because, you know, like something else catches his catches his attention. And he goes off like, you know what I'm saying, he's observing, doing his own thing. And when he walks off, Tree stay behind him before Letty can go on by her business. He gonna fucking say, hey, you know why they call me Tree? Most men got 2 legs. I got Tree. Baby, and I'm so glad Letty replied as she did. Because she said, well, shouldn't I already know that? Since we fucked in high school, Seymour? Caught up in your lies. Caught up in your deceit. Caught up in your juvenile behavior. Sucker. And child, his face is cracked. Now, we catch up with Hippolyta and Dee in the astronomy, in the astronomy exhibit. And they are observing the simulation of the stars and the galaxy and all of that. A comet goes by, and Hippolyta tells her, you see that? You see that comet? I named that comet. The name of it is Harris Chariot. And she was like, dang, I didn't know that you named a comet. That's real cool, mama. And she like, well, not officially, because the credit goes to a famous astronomer's daughter. They didn't want the face of their company and everything being a little black girl. And Diana is like, you should have thought that, mama. Now, that's easy to say, but we also got to consider that the time period that Hippolyta grew up in was likely even harder and more suppressive than where they are even in that moment, you know? So Diana is coming from a place of, for one, experiencing integration. And it's very likely when Hippolyta was growing up, things were not even integrated, let alone a whole bunch of other stuff, you know? Okay, so just seeing the differences in perspective based on their experience in life. Even though, of course, the time that Diana is coming in is not where it is now, and, you know, all that. But things happen for the youth to end up to have a more freedom fighter type of mindset, you know? All that to say, Hippolyta tells her that they know the truth and that's all that matters. I get that, but that's also not enough. And that's a large purpose of this conversation and a theme that's going on in this episode. Again, the history of violence is not just physical violence. It's also non-physical violence. And taking credit for somebody else's work and contributions and lying about history, exalting people who were actually savages, okay, is not the work. It's highly detrimental. And we'll talk more about that literally right after this scene. But evidently it wasn't enough for Diana either, because she yells it out. Y'all see that coming right there? My mama named that coming. It's called Harris Chariot. Nah, they know the truth too. And that's the beauty about progression and evolution. Because where they are now in this time period, even though it's not perfect, Diana was able to yell that out in peace. Versus coming up in Hippolyta's, you know, coming of age, that wouldn't have went by so smooth, you know? Then we got a quick little cute little scene with Tree and Tick. But before we get into their shenanigans, I want to continue the conversation that was kind of going on with Hippolyta and Diana, by way of right before this conversation starts between Tree and Tick. you can overhear one of the tour guides talking about the voyages of Titus Braithwaite and all of the great things he did for the savage people, and how a lot of the bone structures and creations and jewelry and statues and things of that nature that he acquired were gifts from the savage tribes that he taught this and that and this and all of that to say it's a bunch of hoopla. Okay? Because spreading lies like that is still going on to this day, and is a major reason why it's been so much conversation concerning a lot of these statues and idolizations of white explorers and things of that nature has been going on and debated lately, as well as critical race theory being a major topic of conversation, and why people need to stop the madness. Because she going through the museum and she's doing her job, okay? But she's going through and you telling them all of this stuff when in actuality, this man invaded these folks' stuff. Them folks weren't savages. He was the savage that invaded their shit and stole from them, pillaged their shit. And you up here uplifting this man like he was just some great dude. He was a fucking monster. Okay? And when I do my, symbolisms and all of that video, I'll go deeper into the monster symbolism and conversation in this, and how that is being expounded upon from H.P. Lovecraft's books. What is a monster? What makes a monster? And for those of you who, don't know, H.P. Lovecraft, while in this series, Lovecraft Country, the monsters, there are, a bunch of different types of actual, what we think of as monsters, otherworldly beings. But the main monsters, villains in this series are racist white people, lying-ass racist white people. Whereas in quite a few of H.P. Lovecraft's books, the monsters were characterized by stereotypical racist descriptives associated with stigmas of people of color, black people, Mexicans, Asians. Okay, you following me here? All right. So again, a deeper conversation we'll have in the broadening the commentary videos. Okay, but yeah, all that to say, I seen an episode recently of Family Guy, where, the storyline of that episode was pretty much tackling the conversation about certain statues that people want torn down because of the lies that contribute to people idolizing these historical figures. I say, put them in a museum. And or if you're going to have them displayed in historical areas around different towns and things of that nature, have the real fucking story plastered next to it. Acknowledge the lies and also tell the truth. Okay? Okay. Because I think people are so used to just eating up lies and erasing the rest that they think that when you want to combat the uplifting of these historical figures and their statues and all of that, that it means that you just have to automatically erase them from history. No, you don't erase them from history. That's definitely not the answer. They can't be erased because there is still things to be talked about here, including how you lied before. So, again, just tell the damn truth. If you're going to have it displayed, tell the truth. Okay? Okay. Again, we can go deeper into all that in another video. Now, that's out the way. We're going to hop on into more of Tree's shenanigans. He's following up behind Tick, trying to confront him about telling Letty about him lying on his dick, saying that him and Letty used to tussle back in high school. Oh, lame ass. So, he's talking about, you have to backstab me. Dude, backstab you? Was y'all ever really friends, or did y'all just, grow up together, go to the same school, whatever, what have you? You just somebody around the neighborhood. It don't seem like y'all ever really been friends like talking about it. Just seem like you somebody that's like affiliated type shit. And you want to be closer than you actually are. Like, is it Letty that you want, or do you want Tick? Because gosh, my dude, gosh. But yeah, he's like, you can have him. You know what I'm saying? All this about her. You want to do that? Oh, I know what it's about. You mad because I sent you to the back. Sammy was back there with that dude. I think it's like, bro, that ain't my business. That's Sammy crossed the belt. You know what I'm saying? That's what he want to do. That's what he do. That ain't got nothing to do with me. And Tree talking about, oh, you sure it ain't got nothing to do with you? You sure? You sure about that? You sure it ain't no business of yours? And Tree's like, I'm not gay, dude. Like, move around. And he just, steady looking around and carrying on. And Tree gonna say, I mean, I ain't talking about you. I'm just pointing out the fact that Montrose and Sammy got real close since you left. And he walk away all crazy and shit. Then Tick looks over and see Montrose interacting with the security guard dude that he had originally walked off with, that he said, was playing a major role in them being able to get back into the museum and find the vault and all that good shit. And he shakes hands with him and then he walks away. And again, the way that this is shot and everything, it's like implication that Montrose might have, made a little exchange. And while a revelation about Montrose's sexuality would add explanation to why he act the way he do and why he's treated Tick the way that he has, it's still not really Tick's business. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, it's a double-edged sword because it does add answers, some answers as to why Montrose has treated him a certain way. And not even so much of the fact that because he's gay, but more so because he's suppressed it and what that has influenced him to do as a result of the suppression of it. But yeah, all that said, I'm questioning Tree because you are a weirdo. You lie on your dick. And why you all up in a man's business like that? Like, you messy. You messy. And I ain't saying that Tree could be gay because he's messy. I'm saying that Tree could be gay because of the fact that he trying too hard to show that he's straight. He trying too hard to be a man's man, quote unquote. And at the same time, you know a whole lot about the gay agenda, quote unquote. You know way too much to not be involved. And like I said, he cloaking it like Letty is who he's sweet on. And I feel like Letty would just look nice on paper. Letty would look nice in pictures, to, exert his status, if you will. Make people think highly of him and shit. But the way he act, you act like you won't Tick. Well, we're gonna let that be for now. As he sees Montrose over there, he shake his hand, walk away, walk on over to Tick. He like, all right, look, it's all set in stone. Buddy boy gonna let us back in when the museum closed, and we'll be able to find the vault. Tick asks him, where you meet that dude at again? He says one of his buddies from the bar. Okay? So that's another implication that's like, either that's just one of his little gay friends, or they went and had an exchange. It be like that sometimes. You gotta use what you got to get what you want. Now, Montrose is reassuring him everything will be good. You can trust that dude. They should be able to get in, get out, do everything that they need to do, this, that, and the third. But in the process, they all synchronize and realize that they just might be standing right in front of what they looking for. What it is, ho? Oh, what's up? Can a nigga get in your guts? What it is they standing in front of? They standing in front of that good old statue of Titus Braithwaite. And honey, let me find out that there is some real life truth to some things being hidden in some of these statues. And that's why folks be shooketh when they scared somebody gonna knock them down, destroy them, and all this other good stuff, because they got some stuff hid up in there that they don't want nobody to find. Fairy godparents. Now, before we get to the voyage of it all, we're gonna pick back up with Christina and cover everything that she got going on. Cause I ain't finna do the backing and the forth and like they did. We gon' tackle Christina and everything that they got going on with Ruby. And then we'll get to the Indiana Jones treasure hunt. All that. Okay? You got me. Follow me. Now, we pick back up with Christina. And she's making her way around town, driving fast, faces past, and she homebound. These two individuals, I assume that they cops, they following her. And I believe that they are some of Officer Lancaster's boys. So, she pulled up to this house, it's dark. She walks under, like, a cap of the house, like, into the shadows type shit. And then out of the shadows appears William. And it flashes over to the two guys that's been following her. And they like, damn, I think she noticed us. What's going on? Oh shit, this dude right here, William that is. He see us. Oh shit. So then William is walking up. One of the boys gets up out the car, well, he tried to at least. And William says, gentlemen, kicks the door on them and commences to kick in their asses. Real smooth, like, okay. Lets them know that Miss Brightwhite does not like being followed. Okay? And told them, now if you excuse me, I got a date. Now, who his date is, honey. And it's none other than Ruby, honey. Now, Ruby don't know that she got a date. And that's the gag. This is a scheme that William set up to come at her with the bullshit. So, picks up at the club. Her up there singing all sad and drunk and depressed and everything. She sound good. Howsoever, it is very clear that she is singing from a place where she has pain and anger. And the crowd don't need that. They give her some applause, but it's very lukewarm. It's like, okay, thank you, girl. Make your way up off the stage. And she does pretty much on some, well, fuck you, half dead motherfuckers type shit. Okay? Now, she makes her way on over to the bar. And the bartender's already fixing her a drink. She tell him, I ain't trying to, pay for that or whatever. He lets her know that the gentleman at the end of the bar has already taken care of the drink. That gentleman is William. Walks on over, spitting game about trying to change her life and carrying on. Now, there are some instances of this that geared towards like bringing some attention to the fact that some white men, some white people, can have fetishes, whether they're racist or not. Now, Christina and William, their position doesn't seem to be from a racist at heart position. It's just more of them like looking out for themselves by any means necessary. Howsoever, is to be assumed, especially like this your first time meeting them, that you're gonna assume that pretty much every white person is racist, especially given the time period, and the circumstances at hand. One is going to assume that every white person is racist to some degree in some way. And Ruby in particular, the type of woman that she is, the type of black woman that she is, I'm sure she has seen it all on down to racist white men that have sexual fetishes for black women. In the daytime, they got white wives. They live lily white lives. And then at night, they hang out at the bar where the black folks be. Okay? Shout out to Funky Dineva. And they picks up black women. Voluptuous, bodacious black women in particular. And there's also a little hint in here about like the possibilities of whether or not Ruby has obliged any of these men. Now, she playing hard to get, but there's an energy that gives, you say the right thing, you move the right way. She'll give you a little piece, you feel me? Give you a little leg and take it back. And then she tells him she could buy her own drink. So she ain't impressed. He gonna have to do more than that if he trying to lay that thing down like this here. Okay? Now, the conversation like cuts off in the middle. The scene with the conversation cuts off in the middle and it goes back to the crew at the mule. But again, we're going to tackle all of this at once. So when it gets back to them, it's to be assumed that they done been through a couple of rounds of drinks. Okay, by the time that we get back to their scene. And Ruby is in the thick of it. Venting, pouring her heart out about the store job, and basically reveals, she was there to apply. And she felt like old girl beat her to the punch because they only gonna hire so many quote unquote black girls, let alone ones that look like her. So she got some insecurity concerning, diversity quotas of it all and featureism amongst the racism. And this can kind of go back to the conversation that she was having with Letty, where Letty said that she would be able to get the job up there. And it's just like a double whammy because the colorism aspect, Letty very much so probably would have been able to get the job up there, just like the quote unquote pretty for a dark skinned girl was able to get the job up there. And so from Ruby's perspective, being a big black woman, quote unquote, she don't feel like they would hire her. And she gives this analogy about much of the life of a black person trying to get success or any little piece of anything. It's like a rat race to the finish line. And winner takes it all. It ain't no, you know what I'm saying, everybody get a seat at the table. It's enough to go around. The winner takes it all. And that has to do with the diversity quotas, quote unquote, the featureism, the colorism, but it also has to do with the lack mentality that minorities, black people in particular, tend to operate in. Once they get what they want, and not all black people, but a lot of black people, once they get what they want, they don't, you know what I'm saying, look back to see who they can help, who they can pull up, who they can invite to their table, who they can share their seat with. And they get this high and mighty attitude like, well, you should have worked harder. You should have got here first. You should have did what I did, da 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 da. You know, get big for their britches and carrying on. And Ruby goes on to say to William that if she was in his skin, she pretty sure that she wouldn't even have to run in the first place. Tisk. That's some real shit though. That's some real ass shit. And I like the way that they wrote it. I like the way that she delivered it as well. I also love the twist at play with William being the person that she says it to. And we'll go deeper into that when the time comes. So, in the midst of her in the depths of despair, she also says that, you know, she don't know what to do about it, which makes sense. I mean, you running, doing. You got all your education, your degrees, you're talented, all that, doing everything you possibly can to get ahead in life, all while trying to maintain your morals and values and your sense of sanity. And you feel like you're still getting nowhere. And so her just kind of sitting there, you know, just very emotional, just sitting in it, you know. William looks at her in this enchanting manner. And then she looks at him in an enchanting manner. And she said, it ain't happening, white boy. That's what her mouth say. But when they cut that scene, they back at her ranch, getting into that hanky-panky, tearing it up, breaking stuff that ghetto love. Honey, I ain't even make it to the room when Nathaniel just laid it all out right there on the steps. I know that's right. Now we are back at the Mule with the crew. And they are inspecting the station. They shining their lights all around, bars. You know, trying to see what they can find. They find this little like lever and trap door and everything, but they can't seem to find the like way to open it and enter it, you know, make it tick. So in the midst of Montrose looking around the room, the area, looking up and around and up, and he notices a glaring from one of the window spaces that seems to be intentionally faced directly at one of the little level pieces that they have noticed. So he tells them to turn off their flashlights. Turn the goddamn lights off, damn it. Okay. In his Montrose way. And that little flare highlights directly to the statue and clearly reveals the lever that opens the statue door. Lady pulls it, it opens, and they go in, honey. Well, they don't all go in at once. Tick goes on down first. And they clearly initially thought that it was just like, you know, you drop in and the pages would be like right there up under it. Oh no, honey. Oh no. No, this some whole Indiana Jones ass shit, scavenger hunt ass shit. So it's the whole world and it's like 3 different tunnels, and basically you got to use your brain, use your might, and different, you know, clues or whatever that you picked up from them to figure out which tunnel leads the proper way. And it gives life or death. Not to mention, Tick looks up and he sees this writing on the ceiling, quote unquote, that says, "Beware, all ye who tread the path, ever the tides shall rise." Okay? So you see, everything that they have been through up until this point, and going forward, honey, but up until this point has been clues, things to keep in mind, which give basically another indication message that you need to know your history. Okay? Even if it was just 5 minutes ago. So, map of Titus's voyages is needed here, because knowledge of that is what will give like some clear indication on which tunnel is the best one to use. So Tick calls out for it, basically saying like he gonna need that map. Letty commences to breaking the glass to take it because the map is basically an artifact. It's an art piece that is being used in the museum. And Montrose is like, wait a minute, no. I told the security guard that we weren't touching none of the artifacts. Y'all doing the most, but honey, y'all done already took it, open doors, y'all done dropped in the bottom of the floor and everything. Honey, do what you need to do, cause fuck it at this point. Lady takes it, drops right on in, and Tick is being apprehensive, like, what you think you finna be doing all of this by yourself? Like, who do you think you are, sir? Get over yourself. Anywho, Lady drops on in, and Montrose commences to follow, and again, the three tunnels relate to Titus's voyages. So they conversationally going through it all. He raided Guyana, I think that's how you say it. He raided Guyana, and voyaged the Caribbean in 1810. He established the Sons of Adam 3 years later. I also need to note the elements here amongst the knowledge of history aspect. Also, the knowledge of art. Remember me saying predictive programming through art, the way that art and spirituality comes together, right? So a lot of the times people are like, oh, it's just entertainment, it's just this, it's just that, it's not that deep. Bullshit. And again, that's a lot of what this show highlights. And even in the midst of this, and throughout the entire series, honestly, Tick is using his knowledge from adventure novels, comic books, and all of that to have a broader understanding of how a lot of this shit is working, okay? And using clues from those things to figure out these different, codes and everything. So as much as there is this like strategic element, there's a lot of creativity within it as well, okay? So Tick is like, it's Tick that makes the clue that if we go based off the logic of adventure novels, these tunnels correlate with his voyages. And it's Letty that pinpoints that the tour guide mentioned that Titus raided the Caribbean last. And then Montrose says he raided Guyana for all its worth. So that would be the West. And with that is pretty much kind of a debate, a light debate that sparks between the truth, quote unquote, that's been said by the tour guides and, what the museum is presenting versus other texts that Montrose himself has read outside of what they, quote unquote, want you to hear and know. Okay? And Letty refers back to the brochure where it says that the first renovations were done to the museum after he returned back from the Caribbean in 1810. Montrose adds they established the Sons of Adam 3 years later. And see, this is why you can't just be so damn dismissive about every little thing. You know what I'm talking about? Because even though there may be some distortions about the history information that's been given by the museum, that information is what is needed in this particular situation in order to decode this scavenger hunt, this big ass puzzle that they are in the midst of. And with that, Montrose says, okay, you might be right with the information that Letty gave. So the North Tunnel, it must be. And Tick is like, wait, hold on. Like, he's still unsure. He still want to, do some further investigating of it all. But they say, fuck that, and they go on head through them tunnels, honey. The north one, to be exact. Now, they've made it through the tunnels quite a bit. And they end up out on a limb for you. Okay, no. They make it out on an edge that has a very thin plank that look like, not too much or nothing, right? But they got to get through to the other side, so they got to do what they got to do. There's a lot of apprehension here. But Tick starts to make a knot round Letty, and she asks, if he learned that in the army. And Montrose steps in like, look, no, I told him that. My daddy told me that. My great-granddaddy and all they daddies, they told us that. The Freeman lineage came from a line of slaves, and they was responsible for keeping the horses from running free and fucking up everything. And so if they didn't have that knot tied to capacity, they was gonna get their ass beat. And our forefather left their plantation without a mark on them. So please believe me that knot is gonna work. All right, so that does what it needs to do, and they get her on out there out on a limb for them, okay? And Tick mutters under his breath, the Freeman lineage was not slaves. Why you just lie like that? And he said, look, she out there, ain't she? Okay, so This calls in, a debate, not within the show, but just like for the viewer standpoint. This kind of calls in like a debate on, is there a time and a place for lies? Which kind of correlates with something that I just said concerning why you can't dismiss everything, but it's still debatable. But hey, she out there, right? And even though the lies from the brochure, not saying it's all lies, but the lie-laced truth, okay, from the brochure led them to pretty much the right tunnel. They don't know it yet, but it's pretty much the right tunnel. Just like this lie-laced truth, okay? It's not totally a lie, what Montrose said, but it's partially, it's laced with lies. It's a truth laced with lies, okay? So it's like, we'll debate on that another time. But she out there, honey. And it's a pendulum blade swinging in like the middle of the crossway. This reminds me of that Edgar Allan Poe story. We'll unpack that in another video as well. But lady screaming and all of that is fucking agonizing, anxiety feeling child, because honey, she get her head taken out. It's already this thin ass plank like baby. It also reminds me of Super Mario, where you be going through Bowser's castle to fight him, and it's all these booby traps and pendulum blades swinging and carrying on. A whole lot of. But Letty proceeds with caution, okay? After Tick goes out there, and give her some extra encouragement. But then, as they out there doing their progression thing, the damn plank start disappearing on Montrose's side, and he like, whoa. Pause. Because this right here ain't gonna work. We're gonna have to make some shape, okay? Tick makes his way back on over to where Montrose is at, and he like, baby, you gotta jump. It's pretty clear he gonna have to jump. J-U-M-P, jump. So the count is on, okay? And Montrose is like, you better catch me, boy, okay? And he jumped, and Tick catch him. They stumble, rock and weeble, but they don't fall down. They dropped some. I don't know what it was. It might have been flashlight, but some dropped down there, but it don't even matter because it's gone now. Okay? They rush on across to the locked door, and baby, that disappearing plank is disappearing. And that door requires a code. Now, Montrose has to recall a quote from the goddamn pages that he burned from earlier. Now, what if he didn't have it engraved in his memory like that? And he done sat up here and burnt them pages. You see what I'm saying? Recall, remember, know and shit. All right. So the quote is, Adam named, Eve fucked, God created monsters. Hold on. Let me see, baby. We would have been fucked up fooling with me. Adam named, Eve fucked. God brought forth monsters. Monsters devoured. God smites Eve. Boom. The door opens, and they land on the other side of the door, and it's a little water on the floor. Now, this goes back to the quote that Tick saw when they first entered up under that statue. Told you. You better engrave that shit in your brain, because it's going to come up later for you to have to know. Okay? Tisk. And again, that quote was, beware all ye who tread the path. That's the path that they own, honey. Ever the tides shall rise. In other words, you get on that horse, you better ride it. Now, you better know how to swim, bitch. That's what that is. And also, child, that calls into, that age-old Miller Thandor stereotype that black people don't know how to swim. But child, they get some through there. And Tick, of course, recalls that quote. And he let them know, like, we probably got about an hour because these tides gonna rise. This water gonna fill up. We got to boot, scoot, and boogie, okay? And Tick is moving very fast. In the midst of their going through the tunnel, it flashes back and forth between their voyage and their expedition and Ruby and William's conversation. So by the time they flash back to where we are now in their expedition, the water has started to rise quite a bit. It's probably at like not too far above the upper knee, thigh level type shit. And Tick is moving fast through the water. Montrose say, honey, that's what they taught you in the army about sticking together. You just leaving your man behind. That triggered Tick, honey. That triggered him. He turns around talking about, I ain't never left a man behind. His daddy came up out of him. Montrose came up out of him, child. I ain't never left a man behind. Question is, can I trust men beside me? And he like, what you talking about? You don't trust us? You can't trust the men that's beside you? The fuck you mean? And first of all, I just gotta point out how times have changed. Because Letty is our woman, honey. I know what I mean. You know what I'm saying? Man as in human, yo men. But acknowledge her, damn. But you know, they showing the time period and you know how motherfuckers be dismissive to the presence of women. Okay. Anywho. We'll go deeper in that in another video. Anywho, so this leads him to basically be like, you know what I'm saying? Can I trust you? Because it seems like you always acting like you don't know Nathaniel. But when the time comes, you seem to know a whole lot. Like how you knew what to say to get that dough open. And Montrose goes ahead and says George gave him the bylaws before he died. And that he burned them. Which we saw him burn them at the beginning of the episode. And of course, they spat about this. Like, what's wrong with you, my nigga? I'm trying to protect you. And it's interrupted, though, by Letty screaming on the other end. Because she done came upon one of her missing neighbors. Which one of them white boys that had done broke up in her house and got his head taken out. One of them got the head taken out. The other one, you know, they got some more stuff done to him when all that hunting and stuff was going on. Yeah, them ghosts took right on care of them. And this basically gives more indication that these tunnels are connected to where Letty's house is. Because y'all know, in the previous episode, when the elevator descended, it went down to like this tunnel-like, cave-like area, which is essentially amongst the area that they are in. Ain't that a bitch? Honey, Tisco. We'll talk about that in another video as well. Anywho, so all that being said, the elevator comes down. And an elevator comes down. But, you know, it's to be assumed that that's Letty's elevator. Or at least, you know, Letty's elevator would be somewhere. No, that's got to be Letty's elevator. Especially if her missing neighbor is right there. Okay? I'm giving the benefit of the doubt. But that's got to be Letty's elevator. Anywho, Tick tries to tell them to go in and go ahead up because it's getting too dangerous. And Letty says, what the fuck you mean it's getting dangerous? It's been dangerous. He got kidnapped. She died. Like, will you please stop acting like all this is only happening to you? Bitch ass nigga. I added the bitch ass nigga at the end. But yeah. And I felt her because he been getting on my goddamn nerves this whole motherfucking time. And she storms off like she do. And Montrose, you know, he just tiptoes on past Tick and pretty much follows her lead. And the water is swim level by now. Give me Mercury retrograde. The water is swim level by now. And as Letty is, you know, aggressively swimming through, trying to see what she can find, Montrose tells Tick, you gotta apologize to your girl. And Tick is feeling like, you know, that ain't gonna do no good. Like a lot of niggas think. Take accountability and apologize, motherfucker. Damn, stop being so goddamn self-defeated. Fuck. Like, that's annoying as hell. You want to be the leader and you want to feel like you know every motherfucking thing and you so confident in this and that. But then when it comes down to a simple apology and acknowledging and taking accountability for what the fuck you did, all of a sudden you insecure. Annoying. Annoying as hell. Anywho. But of course, that's a part of the history of violence as well. Because people are just now realizing that sometimes you owe your kids an apology. So it's very likely that Tick has not received many apologies. So his relationship with apologies is likely fractured and or non-existent in a way. And the results of that, he harboring toxic feelings towards his daddy, and in himself, he's feeling like his daddy apologizing at this point probably wouldn't do no good. So of course, when it's time for him to apologize, he would probably assume that the person on the receiving end of his apology likely wouldn't give a fuck either. Okay, a projection of his own limitations, if you will. But Montrose does a very good thing here and tells Tick, you know, go ahead, apologize. Like, you got to do that, especially if you care about her. And tells him that his daddy would tell him that whenever That woman start fussing and carrying on, always have a love song in your mind for when it's complicated. And sing that song to yourself until she done fussing, she done being mad. And by the time, you know what I'm saying, you get to that point, what you want is back. All that love, you know what I'm saying, has the love as you want it and recognize it has come back into fruition. And you realize that that's all that fussing and complicatedness is anyway. It's also love. And I love that implication because much like people, and I was just looking at a retrospective video on All in the Family, and it was at a point where Archie Bunker, he was having a conversation with the young man, and he was telling Archie that his daddy wasn't right about a lot of his mindsets. And Archie was having a hard time understanding and acknowledging how his daddy could be wrong, even though there are things that you like, love, and respected about him, right? People have a very hard time with duality and understanding that there are certain things that you can like and respect and have value for when it comes to people, specifically your parents, but that don't mean that they can't be wrong. That don't mean that it's not times where they probably owed you an apology, whether, you know what I'm saying, you got it or not. And a lot of people end up having Stockholm syndrome with their parents. And that turns into victim blaming and people caping for fucking abusers and shit. Okay. Now, the correlation I'm making there is understanding the duality of love. People always thinking that love is perfect, just bubblegums and roses and daisies and skipping in a motherfucking park. But it's not. Sometimes love is shit that you don't want to hear. Sometimes love is somebody yelling at you because you not listening to some shit that is really best for you. You know what I'm saying? So, the duality of the situation. And so I love that Montrose brought that to his attention because definitely like abuse is not love at all. But tough love is a thing. And you have to be open to understanding duality in order to ever get to a point of being able to understand the difference between tough love and abuse. And the difference between performative love and real love. Because Tick has probably dealt with women who perform love for him. Just do whatever he wants them to do, tell him whatever he wants to hear. And so then he interacts with Letty, who actually loves him. And she does things to appease him and to oblige him, but she ain't no punk ass bitch either. And she gonna tell him what he don't want to hear also, if that's what's best. Okay? So him having to realize and be open to the duality of it all when it comes to his daddy and his woman. Because his daddy, like, you got all of these negative feelings about your daddy. And so in a way you demonize him. But here it is. He's giving you some golden gems to help you in a situation. And boom goes the dynamite. But in this, Montrose has like a moment of like, you know, grief comes up because it's apparent that Letty and the way that she is and the way that she shows love is similar to Tick's mama. So it makes Montrose think about Tick's mama, and, you know, his heart is heavy behind it. And Tick offers him some consoling. And right in that moment, Letty finds what seems to be the vault. And that water has risen very drastically, okay? And there is also a severed arm stuck in it. So Tick pulls it out. It's gruesome, honey. It's ugly. You know what I'm saying? Imagine how long that arm has been there, you know? Rot, decay. Ain't no telling what it smelled like in there. Tisk. So Tick takes the ring that is on the hand of that severed arm and he puts it on his hand. And then Tick sticks his hand in there. It seems to draw blood, but we can't really tell if like there's a prick happening from him sticking his hand in there, or if that's leftover blood from other people that's been there, if that's blood from Titus. It seems to be like somewhat of it could be all of it, because it seems to be a blood test to see if this is the blood that is the key to this door. And it turns out to be, honey, because a ceiling door opens and drops a ladder out. And they go on up. And it's a whole nother room filled with a whole lot of artifacts. It look like a abandoned attic, if you will. Flowers in the attic now. And we see this dead skeletal creature laid out on the desk, and under one of her hands is the pages, Titus's pages. And when they go to take it, this wakes the being up. And honey, it was a sight to see on some return the slab and shit. Courage the Cowardly Dog pimping. The dead has arisen. Literally. And she rose naked. And she seems to be speaking the language of Adam. They put in the quotes that basically she's asking about Titus. And Tick immediately responds and tells her that he's been dead for over a century. And that he's blood related. But they ain't family. So this lets us know that Tick ain't gotta learn no language. He already know. It's in his blood. It's in his spirit, honey. And so they shocked by this low-key, high-key, but he must act as a translator. And they essentially, ask what and who she is, because in her nakedness, we can see that she has both sets of genitalia. And she tells them that she is two-spirited, woman and man. She got there by the land of many waters. Titus came on their ship searching for those who would read his book. She could read the symbols from the caves that he came with and everything. And she said they was greedy, honey. She never seen people so hungry. And that was a red flag, essentially, but she didn't think nothing of it. You know what I'm saying? She didn't know he was so untrustworthy. She just thought they was weird. And until she realized, who and how he truly was, and she refused to go further. And so this enraged him. And he had promised her to reunite her with her people. Saying as though, he took in some slaves. He captured people and enslaved them to his own whims and carrying on. And he had promised her that he would reunite her with her people. And when she refused to go on with his fuck shit, he kept his promise by killing her folks and trapping her amongst their spirits up there in their room where she was left to die. Now that's just fucked up, okay? And Tick says exactly my opinion. That he was a monster. He was the monster. Not y'all, you did nothing wrong. He was the some bitch and should be labeled as such. He goes on to tell her, though, that they need help. They need help getting an understanding of all this. They need them pages. They need assistance in trying to protect themselves and their own people from the same or similar fates. And she says to him, now look, you ain't guilty of your forefathers' sins. But I don't know your spirit. I don't know you. Okay? She can't be all openly trusting and shit like talking about no more. She got PTSD and it's totally understandable, So, she refuses to heal. And Moncho says, fuck it, just grab the pages and let's go. But before they can even do that, water starts to break on through the room. And they got to swim away vigorously. Now, baby, that was definitely much easier said than done. But they did it. They made their way onto that elevator as well. And the pages kind of got lost in the sauce a bit. And Letty had to swim and grab them. And that was easier said than done too, because it was trying to get away from her. Okay, it thought it was the gingerbread man. I said, you can't catch me, I'm the gingerbread man. But she caught it, and she swam her way on back into the elevator. They went up. The water was let out. Tick and Letty have a passionate, happy, celebratory kiss with each other and carrying on. And then, old girl boy starts screaming rapidly, child. And Tick gotta knock her the fuck out because, baby, what you doing? We've been through enough already just to get up in here in this closed space with you, and you is squealing all willy-nilly, honey. It's been a long time coming, but we know you've got to shut the fuck up. Oh, yes you do. Okay, now, we get a quick flash to Diana and Hip driving back. And Diana's like, how they getting back without Woody? And Hip is just like, look, they figured something out, child. It's all good. Diana has George's map. And this catches Hip's attention. She look over, she noticed something, that like upset her spirit. And she looks at it aggressively. She sees some, markings on it, and where he's like highlighted some destinations. And I believe that this is from when they had made their trips through the sundown towns in the very first episode. And so I think that's what catches Hip's attention, because remember, they lied to her. They still ain't told her the truth about what actually happened to George and everything that they was doing and all that. So I think when she saw them markings, she said, oh, hell no. And she bust a U-turn. Now, where she going? We don't know. But she say she gonna get some answers. Now, we cut back to the crew at Montrose house, and Tick had a conversation with old girl alone in the room, and she told him that Titus made it so that she's a siren, and she can't speak once leaving his vault. And she thinks that, you know what I'm saying, with Tick, they'll be able to break the spell. Now, how she was able to communicate this with him, maybe she wrote it down. Because like she said, she can't speak, all she can do is squeal, you know what I'm saying? So just she wrote it down, or somehow because they, you know what I'm saying, got this spiritual link of some sort, he was able to read her mind or whatever. But she wants him to teach her English, and essentially they got plans to make her a part of the group and whatnot. So you know what I'm saying, she helped them, they help her, all of that. They done establish some form of trust. And Tick is giving this information to Montrose, and he gives him praise about everything that they done been through and the contributions he made to it and all that. He done showed up and showed out and says his mama would have been proud. Okay? So they decide to call it a night. Montrose stays up. Montrose goes with her alone in the room, walks on up behind her, creeps down like gonna whisper in her ear, and fucking says, "I'm sorry," or whatever the fuck it was he said, and fucking slit her throat. Now, you sons of bitch motherfucker. I'm sorry, because that pissed me off. Montrose, you mother fool. Mama was a fool. Daddy was too. Wanna be like Montrose, don't go to school, fool. Like, what the... He clearly learns nothing. Nathaniel, from everything that they done been through. Sir. And I've also heard some people make the correlation that him feeling the need to kill them is, or could be, like indication of him doing that as a projection of his own insecurities of his sexuality. She is too much of a mirror and reminder of his internal conflict with who he is. And I could definitely see that playing a part as well. But either way, it pissed me off. Now, it would have been interesting to see, you know what I'm saying, had he not killed her, just like in a world where he didn't kill them. Like how she would have fit into that group. Like, how would that have changed the story? Thing is, it probably would have prevented Montrose's fears, okay? It probably would have prevented his fears of something happening to Tick. But him being so stuck in his ways and intent on committing the same fucking mistakes of the people that came before him and fucking traumatized him learning nothing, essentially, knowing a whole lot, but ain't learned a damn thing. And therefore, playing a part of being a major part of the driving force of your own damn problems and oppressions and shortcomings. And the moral of the story is, wanna be like Montrose, don't go to school, fool. Nah. Child, I done already said it, because it's been repeated throughout the episode that, like, you can know a whole lot, but make sure you actually learning from the shit that you know and the shit that you see. Otherwise, you fuck around and you become what you despise. Oh, gosh. But y'all, that's the end of the episode. That's all I got. I ain't got no more, okay? And I hope that this review was very full and satisfactory to you, because this ain't one of my favorite episodes. It's a good episode. The whole series is good, but you know, this just ain't one of my favorite episodes. However, there are a lot of gems and a lot of things to appreciate about this episode. And the episode itself, watching it and then especially reviewing it, it fits the scavenger hunt code booby trap-esque theme to a T. Because reviewing this, you know, the backing and the forthing of the scenes and connecting all the dots and decoding the little Easter eggs and symbolisms and clues and language and lies and truths laced with lies laced with truths and all that. it's a lot, honey. So I try to really take my time. You may notice that the sound quality, not necessarily the sound quality, but the sound delivery, my tone of voice, and things of that nature may change throughout the review because this took some days to do. So I was doing this review on different days, different times, different settings. Okay. It took a lot because this episode consists of a lot. And I wanted to make sure that I can make it all make sense as much as possible without it being too short, you know what I'm saying? Without rushing through it, and also without it being too long. Okay, because I'll be fighting for space on my phone as well, because I'll be doing a whole lot of all at once. And yeah, so I hope I was able to review with education and entertainment in a balanced manner, and that it all made sense, and you got the method to the madness and all that. Now, of course, I said this is not one of my favorite episodes, but please don't think that I don't like the episode, because I like the episode. I prefer it more so from a space where I can just really sit and analyze and go deeper into the many different things that it has to offer. And so, especially as it concerns, talking about the episode, there are a lot of things from this episode in particular that I want to unpack and go deeper in other videos that, where I can analyze thoroughly, talk about the historical elements, what's relevant now, all of that. Okay? So, the ADHD of it all, I wanted to make sure that I reviewed and commentated without also like going too far into certain conversations that come up in this episode, because I definitely want to, really unpack this in some different videos, because it definitely requires and deserves that. And like I said, I'll be doing that for each episode of the series, but this episode in particular is one that really, like, if I was to review, commentate, and unpack all of the themes and Easter eggs and symbolisms and all of that in this video, this freaking video would be about a week long, probably. So yeah, I hope that it is satisfactory to your soul. Okay? And with all that being said, child, if I do say so myself, honey, I have milked this cow dry. And I'm thoroughly appreciative for the exchange of vibes. And if you're feeling synchronized, please do me a divine design and like, share, and subscribe so that you can be one of the first to be back through these queenly quotas for the next time. And be sure to bless my comment section with your questions and conversations. And as always, I bid you in all ways like love, healing, and liberation. Emphasis on liberation. Mwah.